I grew up always out in the outdoors, hunting and fishing, camping. And then after we got married, my husband's the same way. We all love hunting, anything outdoors, camping, target shooting. My kids all enjoy it, and we've always made a point of teaching them how to be safe and have that be a regular part of who we are, because we enjoy the outdoors so much. We take it very seriously, and my kids have never even been allowed to shoot each other with dart guns or squirt guns. It's not a game. It's not something that you joke about. It's very serious. The morning of September 23rd, we woke up, beautiful fall day. Our favorite thing to do is go up the mountains and relax. That's where we're at the happiest. My son had gone out for his first deer hunt, and I had just bought a hunting rifle. So we decided we were going to take him up and get him sighted in for the upcoming deer hunt. We'd been up there several times before target shooting, and we were there for about an hour, just relaxing, sitting in our camp chairs, talking, and then just enjoying the fall colors and being outside. The entire time we were there, never had another car drive by, never heard anybody. It was us. That was our favorite way to be. We always found campsites that we were alone. We like to just find peace in the mountains. And we had been shooting for about 45 minutes. We're down to the last 5 rounds for the rifles. My grouping hadn't been quite as tight as I wanted, and so I figured I'd use the last rounds. I had taken the first 3 shots, and then I kind of adjusted where I was sitting, and took my last 2 shots. And then as soon as we took our hearing protection off, we could hear screams.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello, we've had a shooting accident.
What happened?
My wife and I were shooting at targets. We didn't know there was a road behind where we were shooting, and we happened to fire as the Jeep drove by.
Indian ambulance just found up Monte Cristo for a shooting accident. There is an 1085 Echo.
Echo 4177.
Okay, I've got an officer on his way, so I'm going to send up medical for the parents, okay?
Yes, please.
Found out that my bullet had managed to make it through the trees and strike their Jeep, and that I had killed their 14-year-old son. Never in my life did I think I would be in this position.
I was actually on my way down to Sheriff's Convention in St. George. I was almost to Provo when I got the call, so I turned around and came back.
Sheriff's Office.
So what do we know?
These people were target shooting. They didn't realize there was a road behind them, and they shot a 14-year-old. The 14-year-old's an obvious Echo.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently, instead of going straight, the road doglegged around. But the forest was so thick that there was no possible way to see the road.
My wife happened to be with me because we were going down to the sheriff's conference in St. George, and she usually will ride down with me. At one point during the investigation, I went over to just talk to her for a minute and say, hey, we're going to be a few minutes, or whatever it was that I was going to tell her. And I remember her saying to me, you're crying. A lot of times people want to look at police officers and think that we're the big bad guy and we're out there making people miserable or whatever, but we're out there doing a job, and we're human, and it affects us. And after speaking with his family, and I eventually spoke with the Richens family as well, and it was obvious to me that both of these families were good, decent people. And this was just a really bad situation. And we were in the middle of it because we have to be to do this investigation. It was a hard day for everyone.
One of the sheriffs that was on scene that day and then came down to talk to us had said he had been up in the area hunting 2 weeks before, and that he was in the mountains regularly. And he had no idea that the road curved the way it did. He thought as well that the road went straight. So it helped bring home the importance of always double checking, even if you think you know, make sure you really do know.
So we ended up taking the actual vehicle back up there, and we had a laser pointer that we used as part of the investigation. We actually drove the Jeep back around there, and from her vantage point, you couldn't see it, you couldn't hear it. There was a split second when you could actually see the vehicle. It just, the way everything lined up, it was just exactly the wrong place at the wrong time.
I can't even begin to comprehend the heartache and the sorrow that the Kempke family is feeling. We've talked to Zach's aunt a few times. She's told me a little bit about him and what an amazing young man he was. He loved video games, he loved being outdoors, he loved his family and friends. Very thoughtful and kind, always made sure everyone was included and that nobody got left out. Just from everything I've heard, just a really amazing kid.
It affects all of us. It affected both families involved. It affected us that were investigating it, those on the ambulance that were helping, and their families. And so it affects a lot of people when things like this happen. Things happen, and that's why we want to stress safety first. You've got to know what's behind when you're shooting. You've got to know if that gun's loaded. You've got to know that when you pull that trigger, that there's something behind that that's going to stop that bullet from hitting someone else. So I can't stress safety enough. I've just seen so many accidents with firearms over the years.
If I can get anything through to anyone, it's always just be so careful. You know, make sure that you know without a doubt where you're shooting, where your bullet's going to stop, and always have a backstop. You know, it's not worth taking a chance. The consequences that can follow, it's not worth it. Take the extra few minutes. Do whatever you need to know. And don't ever put anybody else in the victim's family's shoes.
It's extremely important that we have a proper backstop when we're shooting, whether we're target practicing or we're shooting at an animal or whatever it is we're doing. If you don't have a proper backstop, you don't take the shot. No backstop, no shot.
Bullets can go through trees and cardboard boxes and your cans and the things that a lot of people normally use as targets. You know, and if you're going to use something like that, always make sure that you have something solid behind it that's going to stop your bullet. You know, our message is no backstop, no shot.
These things that happen in an instant can change your life forever. And so I mentioned it earlier, take an extra couple of seconds or minutes or whatever it takes to make sure that what you're doing is safe. And then you don't have these unfortunate things happen that can actually ruin your life, change it forever.
Double check, because you can't ever take it back.